Hey everybody, Matt here. Before we get started, I wanted to let everybody know that the audio in this episode here does get a little choppy at parts, which of course is a side effect from recording remotely like we have been doing these past few episodes. Just wanted to give you guys the heads up. Otherwise, hope everybody's staying safe and enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to Talking Trades, the weekly podcast where we talk about comics so you don't have to. I'm Jeremy, I'm a DC fan.
I'm John, I'm a Marvel nut.
And I'm Matt, and I like both.
And we are here this week talking about Victor LaValle's Destoyer. But before we get into that, how's everyone doing?
Doing good.
Doing all right.
Considering the unpleasantness.
Yeah. Absolutely, considering the all of the unpleasantness, not just the quarantine now, but now the civil unrest. I do want to share that in the description of this episode, whenever it goes up, we will have some stuff linked to donations. Actually, I'll put it in last week's episode too. It'll already be up, but I'll put some stuff up for donations or just for things that people can do. But I think I've seen a lot of positivity on like Twitter and TikTok and Facebook, and not Facebook. Facebook's a cesspool, but Instagram. So that's been good. I think I've seen a lot of people actually like realizing and caring a little bit more, which is good. Myself included. I didn't realize how little I had actually done to make the world a better place and as far as race relations go, at least. So that's it's nice and eye-opening. I'm seeing a lot of positivity along with all the negativity, but I just wanted to highlight the positive things.
Smart.
Because otherwise I would be dwelling in sadness at all times. But John, what were you gonna say? You open your mouth.
No, nothing.
Okay, cool.
Just
all
breathing.
right, well, if there's nothing else, let's get into This Week in Geek.
This Week in Geek.
This week in Geek, we got some info. We got some info here. I think we should start off on the unfortunate news. Denny O'Neil, co-creator of Ra's al Ghul, Leslie Tompkins, Azrael. He wrote the very famous issue where Joker has Batman on a playing card. It's a very famous poster. Has passed away at the age of 81. Unfortunately, it is noted that he passed away from natural causes with his family near him. His family was all around him, which is good. But it's horrible that someone ever dies. But a legend in the comic book industry like Denny O'Neil, it was sad to see that.
Yeah, that one was that was sad.
Yeah.
We co-created my favorite villain of all time, or one of my favorite villains of all time, Ra's al Ghul. And the whole Al Ghul family. So that's jump-started the newest Robin of the recent decade, So he has a huge fingerprint on comic books, but especially on Batman comic books.
Absolutely. I have a poster of the infamous comic cover with the Joker's back in town with the Batman on the Joker card and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, also Batman in movies, like the whole Nolan trilogy. Ra's was the epic final boss.
Yes, he was. Yes, he absolutely was. So rest in peace, Denny O'Neil. We unfortunately won't get to see those nice tributes from, the other comic book authors and writers. In the past, when people have passed, you see like full page spreads, things on covers of books, but with nothing really being printed right now and things slowing down, hopefully we'll see that later on when they start reprinting them, or maybe a Denny O'Neil compendium could be released, something like that. But very sad news, very, very sad news. In other news, we do have some information on HBO Max streaming. The DCEU movies, Justice League,
Wonder
Batman vs
Woman.
Superman, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, all those movies, including the Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman Robin, all of the DC movies will be leaving the HBO Max streaming service in a rotation, which we found out.
Yep.
So first one to go is unfortunately Wonder Woman, which seems unfortunate, but I guess that also means that when it comes back, it'll be around longer. But like that's the one that on HBO Max I'm fighting to keep, all the time.
Yeah, that one, that movie.
It's so good.
It's fantastic.
I'm like, this happens all the time with like Netflix and Hulu, but I feel the difference here is that they own the content.
Yeah.
Like if it's a Netflix owned thing, it's never leaving that platform.
Right.
Never. So that's why I don't understand this, because that's the whole point of this platform is we have all these studios and IPs.
We also don't have
let's
the
put
full
them all
story.
here. Yeah, I just don't understand this. I'm sure there's a business move. Maybe they wanted you to have to pay to rent Wonder Woman before 1984. Maybe there were deals that they have to honor, and they just wanted these on the program to launch it, and then they'll come back when those deals are up, kind of like Infinity War with Netflix and Disney Plus.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm just curious.
I don't get it. But I don't think we ever will get the full story on it. It is what it is. But it does give me a little bit more hope for the DC app, the DC Universe app, just with the fact that you're going to have content that doesn't leave there too often.
Right.
Maybe that it's kind of like a sign of things aren't concrete at HBO Max. It's not the final destination for HBO or for DC, which leaves me a little bit of hope that I don't have to buy another streaming app. But I guess we'll see. Only time will tell,
Yeah.
In other news,
speaking of more DC movie news, apparently Warner Brothers doesn't think a standalone Superman movie would be a success right now.
You put it in the chat best, John. Why do they hate our money?
Yep.
That is exactly the way I put it.
Warner Brothers, really doesn't want me to spend money on them.
I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of people too on social media being huge supporters of Superman, and because the whole thing is, if you don't know Superman, and this was me for the longest time, like you think he's boring, or that's a very easy perception to have of the hero because of how invulnerable he is and just powerful. But when you do know Superman, then like you understand that there's a lot more to the character, and the difference is the public perception is of the person who doesn't have a deep understanding of the comics, which is of course going to be the case all the time, always. So I understand the wisdom behind this decision, quote unquote, but like I think it'd be a great move, especially because after Witcher and this drought and the renewed interest in the Justice League Snyder Cut, I guess that interest never really died, but it's at an all-time peak.
Yeah.
People want this. People want to see a Man of Steel too.
Yeah, I would love to see another Superman movie with him as Supes. I think that he is fantastic as Superman.
Yeah. The exact quote, so I don't mince words, is a standalone Superman movie would not be successful at this time. Perhaps once there's more momentum after playing a supporting role in some successful DC films, there will be more of a chance for a standalone film.
When was that statement put out?
I can't find a date on the statement, but the article was 3 days ago, which would make it
So my
June
guess
12th.
is that the statement came out, let's say within the past 2 weeks. That's a long enough timeline for my statement to make sense here. Maybe they were sitting around and saying, we could make another Man of Steel. People would like that. Yeah, people would like that. And then they saw all this stuff with the Snyder Cut. They saw all of the Twitter reactions, right? They saw how popular they were. They were trending to the point of HBO Max getting a lot of press. Now, who knows if they made any money off that? But all press is good press, right? So is there some jerk or somebody in the boardroom who says, if we said we don't want to make a Superman, then we'll get a ton of people tweeting about, we want a Superman, and that'll generate more support. And then we do release Superman, we look like heroes again. Is that possible?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
we live in a world where we're getting the Snyder Cut. Anything is possible.
That's what I'm saying,
Like,
man.
I'm not going to take anything off the table, period.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this is the most guaranteed option, but I think it's a heck of a lot more possible than people may realize. I think
Sure.
this might be a very tactical move to generate more hype.
right.
It
I
could
mean,
be.
yeah, it's a possibility.
Crazier stuff has happened.
And
Yeah.
they could be doing this is more so video game related, but EA had a game forever ago called Mirror's Edge. It did fine, but it had a very devout call following. They never released a follow-up. Years and years and years and years and years went by. They put out Mirror's Edge 2, like, hey, we're making it. This is what you wanted. They put it out, didn't sell well. Franchise is dead. So they're like, cool, we'll satisfy you, but you better go out and support it. And they didn't, so then they killed it. So that
Right.
could be what they're doing here.
I
Yeah.
hope not.
Oh, I hope
Manufactured
not
hype.
as well. Superman's a gigantic IP.
Yeah.
Well, here's the
it's a
thing:
big
Superman's
part.
never going to die. That IP will never die. It just can't. It's too ingrained in American culture. It won't ever, not in world culture. Superman's a huge deal. I would put
Mhm.
Superman and Jesus Christ and Coca-Cola in the same category of, if you see the symbol, you know it. You've at least heard of it for most cultures, right? And that's not me being blasphemous or me making fun of Christianity or Coca-Cola for that matter. They're just very recognizable. Superman's not going away. Now, the Henry Cavill Superman verse may go away, which would suck hard because the Henry Cavill Superman is my second favorite Superman of all time, and that is only behind Christopher Reeves, who was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Cavill is as close to perfection in Superman as you can get. The man has just been saddled with some less than great films. That is not his fault.
Yeah,
that's in no way his fault. We've talked extensively about the problems with the the DCEU.
Yes, we have. Absolutely. And according to an iTunes review we recently got, we complain a lot. That was specifically in relation to the Hulk commentary episode, but I read it and I don't care. We do complain. Welcome to the Comic Book Podcast.
Someone hasn't listened to Convergence.
Yeah, right. But very rarely do we complain without reason, right? So I think we're complaining here because we love Henry Cavill Superman and we want more of it. I'm gonna hope this is manufactured nonsensory and hype, which I will bleed into because I will hype this up. I want it.
Yeah.
The takeaway though is we still are going to see him in multiple films. We just need those films to be, if this is to go by, if those films are successful, they will then reevaluate.
Right.
Yes.
So who's to say? I'm still holding out without hope that like Snyder Cut comes out, everybody loves it, and they are like, cool, we're going to do part 2. It's going to follow the Snyder Cut, which is the canon.
Right.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
It'd be amazing. I don't know how likely, but I didn't think we'd get Snyder Cut, so sky's the limit is the way I'm seeing this.
There really is no end to the possibilities now with them releasing this movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, it changes so much of the industry and how things work as a whole.
We shall see. We also have some information on another DCEU film. Wonder Woman 1984 has been pushed back again to October.
Wham, wham.
Which is very
I think it's a responsible choice.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. It just stinks that right now all the marketing's happening, like she's on the foods, and she's on the like Doritos, and she's on I think she's on Pepsi, but she's on like they have Diana with her armor on and the Funko Pops came out and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I want this movie. But you're right, it's the responsible choice. It makes perfect sense. I agree with it. I think
it was the character Veruca Salt who said, but I want it now.
To quote scripture.
And to quote scripture. So I think that's just kind of where I'm at. I want it now. I was so hyped for this movie. I never stopped being hyped for this movie.
Yeah. It'll happen.
I'm not like going to post or do anything horrible. It's just like, it's rough.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm responsible. I'm a mature adult. I get it. But like,
first world problems, right?
Well,
like we're like, oh, our movie's not coming out. Dang.
Well, let's turn to some positive movie news, if we will. The much anticipated sequel to I don't know if you guys have heard of this film, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
What is that?
Into the Spider-Verse? Interesting.
I think that
Like,
was
wait, so into as in like N, the letter N, then the number 2?
sure.
Or like they
Or-
go to there.
So
I don't.
where is this? Where is the Spider-Verse? That's crazy. Who's in this movie?
We're all in this movie, probably.
Fantastic.
But Spider-Verse, the hugely successful Spider-Man movie that came out a few years ago, has begun production on a sequel. So very excited. Miles is getting more time in the limelight. He's the man.
I believe
As he
2022 release date for that as well, which is very exciting.
So that is so much sooner than I thought.
Into the Spider-Verse 2 is currently set to be released on October 7th, 2022.
Well, I feel like at this point, it's gonna like once theaters start opening up and movies come out, it's gonna be boom, 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 boom. So it's gonna be like nothing.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're gonna get a lot.
Oh my goodness.
It's gonna be just
in
one after another. New Mutants. It's gonna be everything.
It's gonna be there. It's gonna happen.
Is it? Until it comes out, I don't believe it's happening.
Oh, everyone knows. I just throw it on Disney Plus, just dump it out there. But they're gonna put it in theaters.
But no,
They're not gonna give it the old Artemis Fowl treatment.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then
Everything's ridiculous.
continuing with Miles, special Miles episode. PlayStation, they had their PS5 event earlier last week on Thursday, which was fun. It was a good time. It was good fun watch.
It was a great press conference.
And like one of the first things they shown was for a new, I guess, I don't know, it's being called like an expansion.
It was the first new title.
Yeah, first new title, because they showed a whole thing on GTA 5 and whatever.
It is the most best-selling video game, period. It is a huge fan base. I'm just not a part of it.
Yeah. But yeah, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, going to be a fun game. Get to play Spider-Man, you get to play as Miles. So I'm excited to see what that's all about.
There was a lot of confusion as to what this title is.
Yeah, is it a sequel? Is it an expansion?
Is it another universe?
So the best I can find from the information that has been divulged, because a lot of people are saying a lot of different things, is it's pretty much the way I would describe it, which again is very inside baseball with gaming, but infamous First Light.
Okay.
To infamous Second Son.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yes.
It uses the world, it uses the assets. It's a smaller title.
Yeah.
But I think of it basically if like the DLC was like a game, that's pretty much what this would be in terms of scope, is what I believe. Right. It's not a full $60 title.
No.
But it could be a way for them to sell Spider-Man PS5 copies for $60 at launch.
Right.
Like that's likely what it's going to be. Notably, the developer Insomniac, they announced another game as well at the same event called Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Their website for Rift Apart says coming exclusively to PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
The same website for Spider-Man Miles Morales says coming this fall to PlayStation 5. So nothing about exclusively on PlayStation 5. So it could be PS4. Nothing's been confirmed or denied. It's rumors are still up in the air. The trailer itself is very, very short, but you do get a lot of cool, like Miles. It's not just a skin; like he has the invisibility power.
Yeah, he has that.
It's presumed he has his Venom Blast.
Yeah,
like not invisibility, camouflage. You know what I mean? Like it's very exciting, very exciting stuff. And he got a haircut, which everyone's very excited about, myself included.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Miles Morales. I also love how at the end of it they took, because the hashtag for Spider-Man PS4 the game was be greater. So they went be greater, then be yourself.
Yeah.
In the same font that the Miles Morales was written in. It's very exciting. This year, which is bananas, no one thought Spider-Man was going to be coming this year.
Nope.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Oh. It is not Spider-Man 2. It is a side thing from what has been publicly revealed as of June 15th, 2020. Subject to change, of course.
Yeah. Regardless, I'm excited. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. He's my favorite Spider-Man, so I need anything more Miles in my life. I'd be down for. Honestly, I'd be down to. And John, this is not me coming at you. I'm not making a joke here. I'm being serious. If they legitimately ever got rid of Peter Parker and made Miles the #1 Spider-Man, I would be super excited. Not anti-Peter Parker, just pro Miles.
Like, I could see it being a thing for like 18 months.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if it was permanent.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm not saying it as a business thing. I'm just saying it as my personal opinion.
Sure.
I don't care about the business. I'm just saying I would be. I love Miles. I think he's an incredibly interesting character, and anything more that I can consume, I will pay heaps and heaps of cash for. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
I'm very excited as well. It has been the right time for Miles Morales for years now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited that he is now, after Into the Spider-Verse, and like more so in the Spider-Verse, after both that and Spider-Man Miles Morales, he's going to become the household name he deserves to be.
Yeah,
as far as a comic book character, which is very exciting.
Yes.
Some less than great potentially news is AT&T is looking to sell Warner Brothers gaming unit for up to $4 billion. Reason why this matters is there's basically a Batman game about to be announced at any moment, maybe.
No, it's never gonna happen. It's just they're gonna tease it, and then I'm gonna be, hopeful, and then they're gonna break my hopes and dreams down and just leave me in the gutter sad.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. WB Games Montreal, a studio of this, has been teasing with hashtag Capture the Night with a K, a bunch of random different social media posts that amounted to nothing. They also, also under this umbrella is Rocksteady, which are the makers of the Batman Arkham mainline series games.
Mm-hmm.
NetherRealm Studios do Mortal Kombat and TT Games. There's a lot of stuff here, but the Batman game is basically the big thing. And then Rocksteady, like, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah,
with those. And then there's that Harry Potter game that got leaked forever ago.
Yeah,
that's right.
Where you're like a kid at the school. Yeah.
I want that game.
All want all these games, but like, who knows what's going to happen? Because they might sell the studio. Who knows what the purchaser is going to do?
Yeah.
Apparently, they've shopped it around to EA and Activision and Blizzard, according to CNET.
Blizzard would be great, not EA. No EA.
Blizzard would be great, but Activision Blizzard would not be great.
No.
Activision, I think, has been making ever since Blizzard was purchased or they merged with Activision, Blizzard has not been the same Blizzard.
That's true.
In terms of like their
it all sucks.
Just everything. So I don't know. I would selfishly love if Sony was like, "Hey, we got dump trucks. We got dump trucks full of money."
Yeah. Oh.
Can you imagine like a crawl of like different Sony games and it was Spider-Man and Batman? Can you imagine? It's so bizarre. But it's slim, but it's a possibility.
Yep.
Fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
that's all we can do. They're announcing games like every day with the non-E3 event.
Yep.
So, who knows? We could get it any day. We could never get it.
Let's hope it's a wild time,
guys. It's a wild time.
Let's all hope it's the first one.
I hope it's the first one because I figure if you announce it, then that probably drums up your asking price because people want this game.
Yep.
So then you're buying something you have a guaranteed install base for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would like to see it announced.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like every time I have a thought about something related to this stuff, I'm either so beyond wrong that it's not even funny, or I get it dead on and I'm just not surprised anymore. And this is one of those times where I feel like I have no idea. So I'm not even going to bother like throwing an idea because I don't know. I don't know. Everything's the worst. And I feel like I can't predict it anymore. I'm done trying to predict,
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. Well, that's all. I have no more news. Matt, do you have anything? John, do you have anything?
I had a fun aside. Dan
What's your fun
Castaneda, which is TV's Diego from the Umbrella Academy, or Netflix's, I guess, Diego, tweeted a photo, a screenshot of his TV with the Umbrella Academy season 2, episode 1.
Oh,
But like, that's it.
Yeah.
I think the tweet is like, I wasn't lying, but he was like, he said nothing for like 2 months before this, so I don't know. I have no idea. But that's that. Apparently, he somehow was able to watch it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to season 2.
Same. Yeah. End of July. We're getting there.
Yep, we're getting there. Gonna be fun.
Because somehow it's mid-June.
I feel like I'm being destroyed waiting for it. Speaking of being destroyed, let's talk about the Destroyer in the pull list.
Here's your pull list.
This week on the pull list, we are reading Victor LaValle's Destroyer. And it is illustrated by, I have it right here, but it's loading, Diedrich Smith, with Joanna LaFuente coloring it. And it is published by Boom Studios. We haven't read a single Boom book on this podcast ever, but in keeping with our theme of trying to highlight color creators of color, we use this one. We came across this book. John actually found this book, and I think this was a very good addition to this thing we're trying to do. I'm very excited about this book. Now, Victor LaValle, I had heard of Victor LaValle because I had read one of his novellas called Ballad of Black Tom, which is, have either of you guys ever heard of the H.P. Lovecraft tale, The Horror at Red Hook?
No.
Nothing specifically, no.
So The Horror at Red Hook, the Lovecraft version is about a cop who hangs out in a black neighborhood, and he is a pretty typical Lovecraft character, hates everyone who's not white, hates everyone who's not a straight white guy, Lovecraft stuff. But he comes across this man who's very strange, and they goes to trial because his family thinks he's going crazy and they don't want him to spend all of their money, but he does it anyway, and some stuff happens, a building collapses, everyone dies inside, there's horrors so unmentionable, blah, 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 blah. This, the novella, The Ballad of Black Tom, takes this story and tells it from a side character who is the reason that it all happens, who is an African-American character, and it's set in the 1920s, New York, Harlem specifically. Hey.
Interesting.
Back to Bitterroot, but it's his perspective on the whole thing. So you see the whole thing unfold from his perspective, including the police brutality, including the racism, and it was really, really, really good. And I didn't realize that it was the same author until I was looking at my Goodreads and I saw the name. I was like, oh, hey, it's this guy. So he's known for his very short stories and his social commentary, and he did a great job in that one.
Also, when looking for this book, it is Victor LaValle's Destroyer. Destroyer is something else entirely.
Yes, The Destroyer and The Destroyer are two different books entirely. Victor LaValle's Destroyer. So let's talk about this book, guys. What did you know going into this book?
Absolutely nothing.
I had read the summary before reading it when I found the book, so I knew that it had something to do with like the lineage of Frankenstein, that the Dr. Frankenstein. It's like all I really knew going into it.
Let me rephrase my question. What did you know about Frankenstein going into this?
The mad scientist made the monster.
Yeah, I feel like the normal amount.
The normal amount of Frankenstein.
the normal amount of the story of Frankenstein.
It's a story about a monster. It's a story about humanity. Humans are the real monsters. Blah blah blah. It's best told by Gene Wilder in Young Frankenstein.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the best adaptation of that story ever.
That's the funniest adaptation of that story ever.
Everybody loves Raymond's dad is the monster. It's great.
Yep.
But yeah, so this is a twist version of Frankenstein's monster of Frankenstein. I actually have some cool stuff about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein right here.
Did you know it was written by Mary Shelley?
What?
I did. I
did as well.
I read the book in college. It's fine. Did you know that it was the reason it was created was so Mary Shelley, her husband Percy Shelley, and Lord Byron and his wife were on a vacation, and the vacation was so boring and rainy that they were losing their minds. So Lord Byron says, "Hey, let's have a contest. Whoever can write the best scary story wins." And Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein.
Sounds like a thrilling getaway.
Oh, absolutely.
It was so bad.
People writing in the corner, like in different corners of the room.
It was so bad that they had to split up because they were going crazy. And so she wrote Frankenstein, and it's become one of the, if not the most well-known horror story of all time. Also, fun fact about Mary Shelley, she carried her husband's heart with her for like 20 years.
That is
He
macabre.
died.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's very macabre. So she lived a very interesting life, is what it sounds like. But her story has endured for 200 years. When was Frankenstein written?
Yeah, isn't Frankenstein credited as like being the starting point, I guess, of horror and/or science fiction as we know it.
Yeah, it's if it's not the father of horror, it's like one of the fathers of horror. Yes, it was published in 1823, so it's almost 200 years old. That is unbelievable. I can't think of anything lasting 200 years that was written on a dare.
We don't know the circumstances behind Declaration of Independence, but it is 200 years old.
Declaration of Independence was a dare. That's hilarious.
I dare you to write it. See what King George will do. Oh no,
bro, dude, I bet you won't. Oh,
do it. If you do it, I'll sign my name real big at the bottom.
Thomas Jefferson cracks knuckles, gets ready to write.
Just want to let you guys know, I love slaves, but I like writing more. Crack. Thomas, we didn't ask. So this is a twisted version of Frankenstein, and it opens with a view of Frankenstein in Antarctica.
Yep.
What a opening shot, you know?
Yeah.
I had a hard time judging the scale with this initial splash page. Like I couldn't tell if he was a giant. I couldn't tell how big the birds were supposed to be. Yeah,
it's tough at first.
It's very impressive though.
It does give you more scale later, but yeah, when he jumps in with the whales, I can tell because like the whale wraps around him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how big is this guy supposed to be? But it is what it is. It's cool. I really loved the design of this Frankenstein's monster.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the fact that his eyes are stitched around. Oh man, that was cool.
I like that it's
long
more
hair
or less,
and the long beard.
Like it's not green. There are no bolts. It's a dude.
Yeah,
it's a dude.
It looks too realistic. Like this is what you would actually think that a monster made by a doctor would put together.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I was a big fan of how he looks. I like that look better than any other Frankenstein monster look I've seen.
I also like that he stops the whaling industry briefly because I am very against the whaling industry.
Me too.
He does some of his little whale friends are killed by a whaling boat. He blows up the whale boat. Then he's rescued by a different boat. And they're like, hey, we'll bring you back to America. And he's like, okay, I'm going to kill all of you too. He has no regard for human life. And much in the way that the original does, it's not because he's a monster. It's because he has been demonized. He has been hurt. You see later in the book that he was attacked, asking for help to the point where his throat was destroyed. He couldn't talk anymore. So I kind of get it. You know, he's been mad at humanity for 200 plus years. He's not going to start liking him now.
Well, he's been frozen for 200 plus years.
No,
because they say there's a lot to catch up on. I'm not sure where to begin. And in that montage to catch up on, it goes as far back as Edison. He's been frozen since.
Frozen. He has not been frozen. He's just been away from humanity. He went to Antarctica and he's been sitting there.
I thought the whole thing was because later it goes into the ice caps. So my take on it was that the ice caps melted, and then he was thawed, and that's why this is happening now.
I don't think so because it looks like he carved out a chair in the iceberg that he's sitting on purposefully. And his stuff is like I think you'd see like some, if that's what they're trying to convey, they would have like ice around parts of his body. But it looks to me like he just enjoys the solitude, and it's finally been like interrupted by humanity now.
I'll point out the hints I picked up as we go.
No, he's been away from humanity for 200 years for sure, but I don't think he was frozen. Like, I think he was avoiding, I think he was up there staying away.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I think he was frozen. Otherwise, why would he be doing this now and not 50 years ago?
Well, because the whaling boats didn't get to him till now because the ice caps have melted enough for the whaling boats to get to him. That's why they talk about the ice caps melting.
Maybe, I don't know. I feel
Either
there's
way,
enough evidence.
it's not said either way.
Yeah.
There is no definitive answer there, but he comes to the mainland, and when he comes to the mainland, again, after killing 2 full boats of people and destroying an entire dock full of people, an agency in Maryland called the Lab is alerted to this presence, and they are going to try to get him. They are looking for a doctor who can help them somehow in this. You're not told how yet, but they do find this Dr. Baker, and she is she's got the white streak of hair. So she's an African American scientist, and she's got this white streak in her hair, or 2 white streaks, which seemed reminiscent to me of the Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I was accurate on that. I didn't look that up. I looked up 90 other things, but I forgot to look that up until right now. I just thought about that.
The classic depiction is like a giant, like Marge Simpson style hair with like 2 white streaks and kind of a zag.
Yep.
Okay. Sides.
As somebody who dressed up as the Bride of Frankenstein for Halloween one year, I forgot.
You also, I don't think, did the Marge Simpson hair.
I did not. I did long black hair that was down my shoulders because I didn't
Crush the
feel like
costume. Don't
Yeah,
get me
you did a
wrong.
good job.
Crushed it.
with the subtle mustache that was starting to come in at that point. It looked fantastic. Still one of my favorite costumes I've ever done. Hannah had the beautiful face paint on. She went so ham on that, and she did a great job.
Mhm.
Honestly, that was a great set. That was a good couple set up that costume. I was very happy with that. By the way, wearing a dress, awesome. Definitely recommend it. Very free. So Dr. Baker is avoiding the 2 people, looking for who are named Agent Percy, or Agent Shelley and Agent Byron, after Lord Byron and Mary Shelley, which was very cute. And she avoids them and goes back to her house in her sweet self-driving car that isn't a Tesla because there's only 2 in the world or whatever.
Mhm.
She has a horrible dream about her son turning into a monster. She gets back to her lab and she starts to do things that refer to the Agrippa.
There's
Agrippa.
a bit we're missing here, though. When she gets to her car, it's apparent that she doesn't have the strength to get in the car properly and drive the car home, which is why it's good she has a car smart enough to do it. And she's confronted by one of the agents, the one with the darker hair. And she goes, "You were looking for me, but you stopped at every other table except for mine. Why is that?" Doesn't really have a good answer for it. So he does say that the monster returned, and that's why they're seeking her help.
That's
and
right.
she just drives away.
That is Agent Shelley, by the way, which is makes the most sense. She, hearing the monster has returned, she goes back to her home where she has her own lab, and she refers to the writings of Cornelius Agrippa. And this is interesting because that is referenced in the original Frankenstein. It is like it's like one of the first documented occult writings from the Roman Empire, from De Occulta Philosopha, so the philosophy of the occult. And so she's referring to things in this writing that were never solved, and she finally solves it, which allows her to create her own monster out of which they've set it up very well here. It's her son who was killed.
Yep.
When he was 12, and that's where the first chapter ends. So she has recreated her son, and oof. Ooh boy, it gets you in the first issue, man. One thing I will say about this book, the one thing that keeps me from giving it like a 10 out of 10 is the pacing. It would have benefited from more issues, from being able to stretch things out a little bit. I don't know if it was his decision or if it was Boom's decision to make it 6, but it is, the story works. It's all very nice. It's just a little bang, bang, bang at points.
I think 6 is just super industry standard, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Like 6 is just super standard. I think that's kind of what happened. But I do agree. Like a 7th issue would make the ending just a little better. Stretch out all the stuff that's dropped in the ending.
Yeah.
That just happens boom, 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 and it's over.
Well, especially with the, let's say, like 3D printing at the end. That's a huge concept that is just like, it's here and it's gone. And like it just doesn't
Yeah. So we'll get to there. But issue 2 opens up, or chapter 2 opens up with the monster in 1799 trying to get help. This is where we see that why he hates humanity. Cutting back, so he's attacked by villagers when he's just looking for help. They're garbage human beings, because that's what human beings do.
Yep.
They attack
I'm glad you looked up the stuff on Frankenstein and the writing of the book, because it's her kid's heart that she has.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which also calls back to that
Mary
story
Shelley.
to her. Like, yeah, there are a lot of cool touches that were lost on myself, because I am not
without that knowledge,
particularly well read.
Without that knowledge, you still have the idea that the heart is the most important part of the human body, right? Or it's the thing that makes up the soul, right?
I played Kingdom Hearts.
Exactly. So even without that stuff, the nice thing about this is who Frankenstein is, who Frankenstein's monster is, and if you call the monster Frankenstein, fine. I actually don't care about that, but the story enough.
Mm-hmm.
Man makes thing goes out, people are scared of thing. If you know that, honestly, that's all you need to know going into this book.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always cool to get little extra factoids that can inform the work. So the monster is now walking through Mexico in present day. We cut back to the lab, or to the two guys from the lab. They meet up with their boss, who's definitely not Amanda Waller. She's not Amanda Waller. But she's Amanda Waller. And she's
like super Amanda Waller.
Right? And she yells at the two guys, "Oh, you didn't get Dr. Baker. You got to get Dr. Baker." And they're like, "Okay, well, we're gonna." And she's like, "I'm gonna give you 12 hours, or I'm gonna kill you and her." And they're like, "Well, we don't want to die, so let's go get Dr. Baker."
He's like, "I'm gonna send in the bride."
Yeah, send in the bride.
Which, like, when I read that, I'm like, well, I know this is going to be something awesome, because Bride of Frankenstein, it's going to be a monster, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Which it kind of is.
Kind of.
The reason why it's called The Bride, also stupid, because it was really rushed. But whatever, we'll get there. The monster walking through Mexico, a bunch of Mexican immigrants see him and start following him, thinking that he's going to help them. He's a savior of some sort. And you see this.
There's a lot from this little boy who's like, "I used to make these dolls when I was worried, but I've stopped making them because now that he is here, he is our angel who lead us in." I'm like, "Whoo, man."
Oh, he's gonna, yeah. And then they get to the wall.
That is not what's happening here.
All these people say the same, like, similar things, like, "Oh, he's gonna help us. Thank God that you sent us this savior." And they get to the wall, and on the other side of the wall are three people, and the wall is there. The monster tears the wall down with no regard for those around him, kills everyone around him, because he collapses the wall on top of them, and they're like, "Oh my God, no, stop. You're supposed to be helping us. We just wanted help," which is the same thing he said when he was attacked.
Right.
Kills all them. Horrible. It just shows that the monster has no humanity.
No.
At this point, he comes up on the three guys who are not actual border patrol. They're just a bunch of guys of gun nuts who want to kill immigrants crossing the border illegally, and they're scumbags, right? So the monster kills those three guys. Just moves past them again. It doesn't matter who's in this monster's way. He's gonna kill him.
And like throws the truck.
Yeah, he does. Just
gone.
And not throws the truck a little bit. Throws the truck like a couple 100 feet.
Like,
yeah,
it's gone.
He yeets it. He yeets it big time.
Yes, he does. Big yeet energy. The two agents go to Dr. Baker's lab, which is called Little House on the Prairie. I read an interview with LaValle here, and he said that he called it that because he felt that Dr. Baker was a distant cousin of Laura Ingalls Wilder. Very intelligent, very creative, very resourceful. I've seen literally zero Little House on the Prairie, but I do know that Laura Ingalls Wilder is a very forward-thinking female character for her time. So I think he said he was referencing that.
Okay.
That's kind of cool. They break into the lab super easily because she lets them.
She lets them. They think it's because the tech they're using is based on what she created when she was with the lab. But really, she's letting them come inside.
Yeah, she is.
She's playing chess while they're all playing checkers. which is crazy because that metaphor makes no sense because it means you're playing two different games, which means no one wins.
No one wins. Like, can you just like jump over any piece as a checkers piece? Can you just jump over anything?
You
I
know
would
what?
assume so, right?
As long as it's in a diagonal motion, I feel like you could.
Yeah, I guess. So they win. That metaphor's stupid. They don't win. They don't win so hard, in fact, that their guns disappear because her son has the ability to do that.
Their board is taken away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody flips their board.
Yeah.
Yeah. This chapter ends with Akai. Akai is her son, and they make there's a really good. I'll get there in a second. So Akai is her son, and part of his body is flesh, part of his body is nanobots, and the nanobots are able to deconstruct the guns in their hands, and the bullet as it flies out, and it's just gone, and they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Hey, look, Mom, I did it," and the chapter ends.
One thing I do love is when they do get inside, there is a table full of baby pictures and kid pictures, and the Josephine is the doctor, Dr. Baker's name. No, well, we said Dr. Baker, but Josephine posing happily with another man. I think that's all that we really need to cover. I love this. They open fire on her, just straight up open fire on her.
Yep.
And she goes, cute. Reveals she was wearing a clear bulletproof like poncho, not poncho.
It's like an invisibility cloak that stops bullets.
Yeah. And
It's
she's
awesome.
like, huh, cute. And they're like, cool, quick, let's reload and shoot her again. And that's when Akai shows up and gets rid of the guns.
Nanobots.
It's
so
awesome.
Here's one of the parts I really liked social commentary wise. They bust in, and it should be noted that these two agents are two white guys, and they walk in, and they're talking, and Akai and his mom and Josephine are talking. It's like goes back and forth, but they say, "So what was the boy's name again?"
I don't know. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't pronounce it. And then the other guy says, "I never understood why they do that kind of thing." And that was just like, I really liked that because I've heard that many times from people like, "Oh, why do they do that?" And they refers to black people having quote unquote weird or strange names. And one, the only strange names are celebrity names. Fact.
Audio
Two,
science.
Apple.
That's a first name.
Something Pilot. Apple Pilot. Some stupid nonsense. Just the worst, right?
Bookcase.
Yeah, right.
Now, are you just looking around the room, Matt? Or are you trying to name a kid?
He's a celebrity. He's doing both.
Fair.
But like,
I love you too, Dual Shock.
Right? Okay. Here's a fun thing to do. If you want to talk about strange names, right? It's not black people make strange names. It's everyone does strange names because people are weird, right? Go look up the lacrosse draft, the lacrosse college draft. Have you seen those kids' names? Oh my God. And those are all white kids. So like everyone has weird names. Like, but I've heard this social commentary before, like, "Oh, black people name their kids weird things." Shut up. You don't have to like every name, but don't say that they're bad because of a race.
Yeah, people do that. It's just another way of making black people the other.
Yes.
That's all.
So I like that. I like that in this. I like that very subtle, brief social commentary here. Then the next chapter opens, and we see the minutes before Akai is killed. He's going off to his baseball game. He's going to come home, and he doesn't.
Yep.
Normally, we will do a plot by plot, but I feel the way that this book jumps in time definitely betters it. It elevates it. The way the information, the order in which the information is revealed, is definitely enhances the experience.
It's a Tarantino movie where if you did it a different way, it wouldn't be impactful.
Yeah.
I should have read this backwards.
That's Memento.
And Pulp Fiction, right?
Pulp Fiction is not backwards. It's all over the place.
It's all jumpy.
Yeah, it's jumpy.
Okay.
It's a weird movie. It's a great movie though. Anyway,
very good.
Akai introduces himself to the agents. The mom is much more aggressive to the agents than Akai. You see that like she's very bitter. She's been hurt by the world. She's okay. So the obvious. Go ahead.
We didn't finish this because I unfortunately sent us on a tangent. The you see what's the day of Akai's death, and it's he's getting ready for a baseball game. He's got to go. The Josephine has a very important business thing she has to go to.
Yeah.
So she can't take him to his baseball game. When there were the different photos of Akai, the childhood photos, one did have him with full baseball gear, said Little Slugga, who's super cute, with the same team logo that he's putting on here.
Yeah. It's not a Shazam shirt.
No.
Wink. No, it's just a red background with yellow lightning. It could be Freakazoid. We don't know what it is.
Yo. It's a V
that's
on
white lightning, isn't it? Whatever.
Who cares? This is Flash, if anything, right? Flash and Shazam. But I'm down for Team Freakazoid. But yes, so you see the picture from the day he was killed in the last issue. But you see, so the easy comparison, right, is that Akai and the monster, Frankenstein's monster, are the same because they both come back from the dead, right? The real connection is that the monster has lost its humanity, and so has Dr. Baker, Josephine Baker. She's done. She's down to kill everybody because the world has done her wrong so many times, over and over and over, and she's done.
Yeah,
she's so fed up, and she's earned that jade, the jadedness, and her son is still very much like, hey, these guys aren't bad. We don't have to kill them. These two agents. And Mom's like, I feel like we should definitely kill them. So you get that back and forth. You see like the duality between their personalities, and I liked that a lot. You find out that the agents talk about his father, who they call Pliers.
Yep.
Which I just thought that was his name. It was a weird name, and then he said, "Oh, that was a code name." I'm like, okay, cool. Pliers would be a strange name.
Yeah.
It would. I assumed until more information was revealed that he was like a fixer.
Yeah.
Because Pliers is the name of a tool.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
That's kind of where I went with it.
Like he was an engineer?
I went airplane engineer.
No, I went like fixer. Airplane. Like some bad stuff went down here. This room needs to be cleaned before the authorities come, kind of fixer.
Like a Mr. Wolf thing. That's cool. That'd be cool. But we'll see why he's called Pliers in a little bit. They go back and forth about should they kill the lab people or not. They end up she ends up kind of just torturing them.
Yep.
And silencing them for now. Next, we get a scene with the monster and some pigs, and I was very confused here until I had to go over it a few times. And I was reading it on Comixology where it goes panel by panel, but I had to actually zoom out and look at each page in whole. And
I could see that.
The monster goes into a bunch of pig pens, into a hog slaughterhouse, and he busts open one of the cages for the pigs, and then he breaks a wall. And he was, the way I interpret it was, he was trying to free the pigs, but he ends up bringing the entire place down and killing all the pigs. And then he looks at his own hands in horror. Is that what you guys got out of that?
Yeah, that's what I got out of it. Is he was trying to free the animals. Because like
the guided view, I thought he was trying to kill all the animals, and I was like, oh, that seems weird to show, but it makes more sense that he'd be trying to free them.
Yeah, given the beginning with the whales and stuff, I figured he was freeing them. Like he doesn't. He doesn't care about humans, but he loves animals.
Yeah.
The name of this slaughterhouse pig farm. Yeah. It says Kansas Fine Swine Ad Astra or Aspera. That means through hardships to the stars.
Isn't that kind of like what they had? Ad Astra means to the stars.
Ad Astra.
Is that a movie?
Yes, that's the part that would mean to the stars.
That's neat. Isn't that also kind of similar to what they put on the concentration camps? Like work will set you free. Isn't that kind of reminiscent?
Yes, I would agree.
It's almost like the concentration camps were slaughterhouses, but hey, I'm just telling all the facts here. Anyway,
apparently it's a state of Kansas thing.
That's their slogan.
Various organizations and groups use expression and its variants. State of Kansas.
Okay.
I didn't know that. Also interesting that it's Kansas. Maybe a Superman reference.
Could be.
Also, maybe just a Kansas reference.
Maybe.
He's going through Mexico to Kansas to Chicago.
Yep.
Then to Maryland.
Yeah. Well, and I
It's a
thought he
bad
was.
map.
I thought he was going to Montana.
Montana. So why would you go through? No, Kansas would make sense. Mexico through Kansas up into Montana. That makes sense. I know geology.
Yeah, you sure know your
And
geometry.
I was just gonna say thank you.
Yeah. We then see a flashback where we see Dr. Baker working at the lab, leaving the lab. Well, technically being fired from the lab because she got pregnant and she had something that she loved more than the lab, which the lab director did not like. She becomes a professor at the University of Chicago, which pays a little less, but is less, you're less likely to die.
Prestigious.
And has maternity leave.
And has maternity leave. Yes, she has her son. She loves her son. You see. So what's interesting here is you see like, typical stuff like she's working while the baby's sleeping near her. The baby's playing out. The boy's playing outside while she's gardening. But what's interesting is the baby's crib is like floating because like she's a good scientist. The kid's playing in the backyard, but he's playing in like a super futuristic sports facility.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love all the just. It doesn't say she invented this stuff. It's just cool stuff that she invented, just subtly peppered in throughout here.
Yeah.
Like there's a panel coming up that takes place in 2003 where she's like, yeah, I thought it'd be nice to just have my information on this like handy device. She just like made a tablet in 2003.
Yeah.
Because when did the iPad come out? The very first iPad.
The iPhone came out in I think 2006, 2007. So iPad was later.
Was it really that late?
Yeah.
My God. Doesn't it feel like we've just always had them?
Yeah, at this point.
Doesn't it feel like
first
iPad should still last. Yeah, it's crazy.
The very first iPad ever came out April 3rd, 2010. So she's 7 years ahead of the iPad.
I'm sorry, 2010.
Because like the iPad wasn't the first tablet, but like it's the first tablet like commercially.
But it didn't take 7 years to go from the first tablet to the iPad.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. So she
in terms of, because the tablet she invents is very iPad in its weight and size. So I'm sure there's a tablet defined earlier that's much more bulkier and lower performance, what have you. But
right.
Anyway.
So anyway, the flashback shows her and Kai growing up and living a life, and she says, "I thought we were safe. I was wrong." 2 white cops come to her door, telling her son was killed. We see a flashback to the 60s, where a man who was protesting Jim Crow was murdered on his front lawn, and the man was let go. And the woman, the man's wife, says that if she had a gun, she would have shot everybody on her front lawn because she was so angry at the world. And
Medgar Evers is the victim, and the wife is Merle Evers.
And Dr. Baker says, "I feel the same way." And with this in mind, Akai is able to kind of let the lab people be alive for now. He keeps arguing, "Don't kill them. They didn't do anything wrong right now." He's a very pure, innocent heart. He's a good person.
Yep.
We cut back to the lab, and they are sending out the bride early because we're not waiting because they probably already got captured. Here's another really cool little detail. The shot of the lab where it says back of the lab, and it's, they're talking about a painting.
Mm-hmm.
That painting is called The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Nicholas Tulip. It was painted by Rembrandt in 1632. And they mention in the comic that the person who is the reference for the cadaver in the painting was an actual criminal. And what this painting shows is, I looked up the actual painting to get like a clear version of it. You see Dr. Nicholas Tulip in very fancy looking garb, teaching other men in terrible looking frills, and he has cut open a human being's arm to show all the tendons and the parts of it inside, which again references like Frankenstein and like pulling human beings together and stitching them together. Just more subtle references in this book to the greater themes of this book, which I really, really liked. The bride is on her way, and this is when Dr. Baker kind of regales.
Don't they also make it a point to say that the subject of the painting, the cadaver, is the monster?
No.
I don't remember.
They say that he was. No, the dead man was a thief recently executed named Adrian, old-timey name. In his life, he did nothing of consequence. In death, he's a vital part of Rembrandt's first truly great painting. Some people are artists, the rest are just material. It's just it's just referencing the painting as the cadaver was a thief. But I do feel like it's a direct connection to, they're saying that Dr. Frankenstein's the artist. No. Well, I mean, he is, but like, then they're just saying that the monster is just material. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Right. They're dumbing it down. They're putting it as an other, kind of like people do with black people. More wonderful subversion here. Bride's on its way. Victor Frankenstein. This is when you see him working on the occult stuff. You see that he loved his mother more than anything in the world. And when she got scarlet fever after taking care of his sister who had scarlet fever, the sister recovered, the mother did not. It broke Victor down. Victor then wanted more than anything to recreate human life. And they talk about how it's also, we haven't directly said this, but in this universe, Frankenstein was an event, not a fiction. It happened.
Yeah.
So you see that in the stories that have been told, in the movies that have been made about Victor, he was a mad scientist driven there by just pure curiosity of the occult. No, he was driven there out of a pain and love for his mother to bring her back from the dead, which is the same pain and love that Josephine has now. That's the reason her son is brought back. Which I liked. I liked that it broke Victor down as a human being, not as a crazy mad scientist. One of the agents tries to leave. He is stopped by something outside. You do see that the bride has landed, but the thing that killed him is not the bride. It's the monster.
For a hot second, I thought the monster was the bride.
Yeah, me
For
too.
whatever reason.
That would be an interesting take.
I think just because we didn't see the bride at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. The monster rips him in half and throws half of his body down the stairs. Is gruesome. Here on out, the book is really grotesque.
The monster does say destroy, which is interesting given his vocal situation.
It's also like part of the title of the book.
What?
I know. I just caught that right now. Isn't that crazy?
Blown
That's a reference to a painting from 1397. No.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. I don't have any more little fun tidbits. Oh no, I do. I have one more thing, but it's not about paintings.
Okay.
The title is a callback to My Chemical Romance's "Destroy Ya" Danger Days.
Fantastic.
It's not.
Chapter 4 opens up with another flashback where we see Dr. Baker and she meets. I just lost his name. Is it not Akeem? No, the kid.
Akai.
What's his name?
Akai.
Akai, thank you. I lost his name. Akai's dad, Pliers. He is called Pliers because he has a hook hand.
Yep.
Also, he might be a fixer. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But they meet. They're both kind of loners. You see that he's pretty high up in the lab, but they don't ever say exactly what he does, do they?
I thought he was a pilot.
Do they say
put him in the pilot's seat if you want something done right. I don't know that he's a pilot.
Well, he does have a jacket on that looks kind of pilot-y.
Yeah.
It's got like wings and stuff on it, so maybe. But it's never exactly said.
No.
You're in R&D. I'm always in the field. That's about as closest we get.
Yeah, that's the closest we get to it.
He's a field app of some sort. They fall in love. They get married, it looks like here. And she's very happy. And we cut back to Montana. And the monster is facing off with the Kai. And he's like, hey, I'm a Kai. Do you have a name? And the monster just slaps him.
Just backhands.
Across the room. This was interesting. Dr. Baker's house is rigged, kind of like Smart House, where it does a lot of things for her. And she's been using it throughout the book up to this point, but nothing of massive consequence. But right now she says, hey, we have an intruder. And the house starts to try to fight back against the monster. The monster's way too powerful. Destroys the house, goes to kill the other agent. Eventually ends up killing the other agent, but is just destroying things. But Akai is kind of able to knock him back using his own power. So the monster and Akai are very well matched. Another flashback. We see Dr. Baker introducing the director to this VR technology that she has that's very immersive.
In 2004.
2004, yes. So that's very
16 years ago. Very immersive VR.
Yeah. Like we're not even close to that now.
Nope.
This is where they talk about the ice caps melting and how, maybe if we just killed all of humanity, who would be upset about it, right? They suck. We're way past the point of fixing the earth. Global warming's happening. Industry's happening. No one's stopping. We're not even stopping, and we're supposed to be the people who are leading, the world.
Director's whole point is like humanity's beyond saving. They've
screwed everything up.
Not screwed everything up. I want to say like they've wasted this planet,
Squandered.
just depleted of its squandered. Thank you. They've squandered this planet. They do it again, given half the chance. There's no point.
Mm-hmm.
They throw a party with a big sign that says "Good Riddance."
Yeah, that was funny.
And they eat a Shakespeare cake, but she says, "But here's the thing: we can make these nanomachines, these nanobots that can help humans become immortal. That's what I want. I want to become immortal. That's why I want the monster, because the monster is immortal." Referring to Frankenstein's monster. We just need to find him and become immortal. And she's like, "Don't you think so, Josephine?" And she's like, "I'm pregnant."
To
And
which
she's like,
not
well, you're
Amanda
fired.
Waller says, "Congratulations, what a no exclamation point. Congratulations, what a blessing. You must be so happy. Please see yourself out."
Yeah,
That's
she's
one
fired.
speech bubble.
Yep.
We cut back to the present day. The fight continues.
Well,
And
I want to stay on this for like a hot second because I love the way this is framed.
Okay, go ahead.
So like at the top, it's the director saying like, "We'll be gods. If we can harness this immortality, we will be gods, like seated in the throne." Then it's both of them taking their headsets off. They're framed really close to each other. So I watch you. You're doing great. We can do this. Join with me. I'm pregnant. Then it's a frame of her like shocked. Then it pans out to see them both in one panel, but Josephine is seated so far from the desk.
Mm-hmm.
Just together, so far apart. So I saw the way that page was framed. Beautiful.
It's also interesting to note here that, she's like, we can be gods. But when you really break it down, the ability to create life as a woman is as close to being God as you could get in some ways. You are creating a new life using your body.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. That's a feat that we as human beings ignore all the time. And the fact that the woman is just, the director's like, "Oh, well, we're done here," just kind of breaks her apart from being human even more.
Yeah.
The director is like almost not, isn't human. And I honestly thought she was a robot until
she has
later.
Negative compassion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought
like
she wasn't a
she in front of her son, skipping ahead a bit. It's like, yeah, we could have done great things, but then she dropped out to just become a mother. No offense to you, my son.
Yeah.
And he's like, none taken.
Yeah, none taken.
Like, yeah, she's something else.
So, cutting back to the present, the fight continues, and the bride is here. The bride is this giant mech thing,
Hulkbuster-like thing.
Yep.
with white streaks in its hair, like the Bride of Frankenstein.
Hair.
Oh, sorry, and on the top of the robot. You're right.
Yeah, on top of
that
like the
look
helmet
to
thing.
mimic the Bride of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is my last little reference that I have. She says, "Little house," referring to her own home, "stand your ground." Now,
it said earlier in the book that Montana is a stand your ground state.
Oh,
the reference that I'm going to make, I feel like is pretty obvious here. But 2012, Trayvon Martin was killed by George Zimmerman in Florida.
mm-hmm.
And Florida is a stand your ground state. And a stand your ground state is if you feel quote unquote threatened, you can shoot somebody back. You can kill them. And you will never be, you'll get away. No problem. Even if you're in the wrong, you were quote unquote standing your ground. The fact that she says stand your ground in almost separate word bubbles feels very, very obvious, like a reference to that.
It 100% is.
Yeah, I really liked that. And doing stand your ground is a defensive mechanism for the house. They launch missiles at it,
Shields come up,
and nothing happens to the bride. It's totally fine. It's like indestructible. It does say severe trauma is expected, but like it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Again, cut back to 2004, and we see that when she's fired, Pliers stays back, essentially ending their relationship, and she's like, "F you," and he's like, "Well, I have to do it." We see why he stayed.
Yep.
He goes back in, and not Amanda Waller says, "If you stay, they will be fine. We won't touch them. We won't even look at them." She lies. She does keep surveillance on them forever, but she does keep to her word that she won't touch them.
Yep.
until she feels like she wants to. But that's why he stays back. He doesn't stay because he doesn't care. He doesn't stay because he doesn't love her. He doesn't stay because he doesn't care about the kid. He stays because he loves them so much. He doesn't want them to get hurt.
Yeah.
And the monster is pinned down. The bride is coming into the house.
He, in this flashback, does make the mistake of asking if there's anything else, and she reveals she does her proposal, showing him plans of what we've seen to be the bride.
Yep.
Yes, she does. Very good. I glanced over that. The bride's coming in. The monster's pinned. Josephine and Akai get into an escape pod of some sort and blow the house up, including killing the last lab tech guy. And what I liked here, the last little bit of FU to this guy, he gets put into a machine on accident, and it says, organic material detected. Scanning for value. None. No value found, and it kills him.
Yep.
Goodbye.
This guy. Bride goes after, and Bride and the monster both go after the escape pod as the house is about to get destroyed. We cut back one last time to the lab, and we see that Victor Frankenstein's still alive. What? Chapter 5. This is the thing that I think, John, you referenced early in this review. We cut back to 2001 in the lab, and they are 3D printing a chicken, but it doesn't work.
Yep.
The organic material is, so again, 2001. 3D printing was not a thing in 2001.
2001.
A Space Odyssey.
Go ahead.
So regular 3D printing wasn't a thing, let alone 3D printing organic material. They do 3D print a live chicken with its own supposed functions, but the organics don't hold for more than a few minutes, and it immediately starts to deteriorate. And she does show Joanna this. We cut to now, and we're talking to Victor Frankenstein.
And this problem has still not been.
Nope.
Yes.
Now she goes, the problem is the decay. So that's still a lingering concern.
Yeah. So we see her son is voicing Victor Frankenstein. They've perfected the decay long enough to get this thing to exist for some amount of time, but not enough to be like reprogrammed and trained to be a fake human. So they're just going to feed its lines for now. The escape pod flies further and further away. The house is destroyed in Montana. The bride and the monster come up, and they're both fine. And then the monster leaps like 1.5 miles away because it can do that.
Yep.
And the bride attacks them too. And you now fully understand that the bride is Pliers.
Yep.
And you see how that happened. We cut back to 2016 in Chicago. Chicago is where his son was murdered. And he goes up to the cop that killed his son. And he puts like a collar around his neck of Nanobot. And he's like, oh, so you're the one who killed my son. That's nice. You did it in 2 seconds, made a decision. That's not a lot of time. In fact, it's so little time. Is that your daughter? And it cuts back to the now. That scared the hell out of me.
Yep.
That we were going to see another child be murdered in this book.
That's also where I thought this was going.
Which would have made sense for, I don't know if it would have made sense, but when he goes to sit down and talk to this cop, I
think that's what the audience would expect. That's what I expect. That's what you expected. Like, that's just what we would expect.
Not Amanda Waller is telling him, don't do this, don't go over there, I know we're sending people after you. And he says, I'm gonna do it, and he hangs up the phone and he walks over to the guy. Cut back to now, and you see that Pliers is jumping around, and we have another cut back really quickly, and you see the night that
it's well, in that panel with him jump around, it says, maybe it's good you never saw who you became.
Yeah, never saw who your father became, Akai. Yeah. And you see Akai at the baseball game, and it's late, and he says, no, the bus stop is really close, but thank you, coach. So coach offered to give him a ride or walk with him.
He's taking his gear home. He's got his bat.
And you see someone in the window says, hello? Yes, there's a man with a rifle walking in front of my house. Okay, what is his race? He's black. And his age? 18, maybe 20. He's 12. Officers are on the way. And the officers come, and this is when Akai is killed. because
The last speech bubble is in the way beginning of the comic too.
Yeah,
it's just police code speak. Charlie 21.
I just wasn't going to reference it since we hadn't talked about it earlier. And you cut back to now, and Akai is his eyes are kind of like dilated, and Dr. Baker's like, "Hey, are you all right? I know you're not dreaming because you can't do that, and you're not because you don't sleep because I made it so you can't sleep. What are you doing?" And he's like, "I don't know, I just kind of zoned out and was thinking about something that I remembered, but I don't know if I remember it. Anyway, what are we doing?" And she's like, "We're gonna go back to the lab and we're gonna kill the lab." And he's like, "I don't know if we should do that. I think that love is good." And she's like, "That's cool. By the way, exposition, you're only part human, and eventually the nanobots will totally take over and you'll be all robot." And he's like, "That's messed up." And she's like, "Yeah, but here's the thing. Eventually everyone's going to die except for you. You're going to be there forever. You're going to live. You're going to be a new life form, and everyone's going to see how strong you are. And they're going to call you a bad person. They're going to call me a bad person for making you."
They're going to call her the Destroyer.
Yep. And she's like, "But that doesn't matter because screw them. Screw everybody else." So she's now gotten to the point where the director was in their conversation in 2001 when she said she was pregnant.
Yeah.
We cut back, see Victor Frankenstein's like, "But I'm a person. I have my own feelings." Like, that's cute. Decay now. We're going to make another Victor Frankenstein, and we're just going to make him a puppet to talk to the monster because that's going to work. We here at the lab are really smart, and we're going to trick the monster. This isn't going to go poorly. Spoiler alert. It doesn't work.
It goes poorly.
It goes poorly. We cut. The monster gets to the lab, and they're like, "Haha, we're going to get it." Cut back to the conversation with Pliers and the cop on the bench. And he says, "Listen, here's the deal. I'm not going to kill you because it's not what my son would want me to do. But I am going to leave one nanobot inside you. And if you ever give me a reason, I will have this nanobot kill you in 2 seconds. You better thank the lucky stars above that I'm not killing you in front of your daughter." And he walks away and he says,
and he leaves her alive. He leaves him alive because the daughter is still pure and has not been tainted by hate yet.
He's giving him another chance, which is more than he deserves.
And more than was afforded to Akai.
Yeah.
Yes. And he says, "Okay, ma'am, I'm coming home. I'm ready. Prepare the bride. I'm ready to merge." So this is when he decides to become part of the bride. This is 2016, mind you, in the canon, which is 4 years after Akai was killed. So this has been a long time of him keeping his wife safe, and he's finally going with this plan. So then we have everyone gets back to the lab and sees that the monster was there, and the monster comes in, and they're the fake Victor Frankenstein. He's like, "Oh, my son, I've missed you. I love you. I'm so happy to see you. Let's hug this out." And the monster's like, "Oh yeah," and punches through the wall and kills the people behind who are trying to
trick the monster.
So the monster busts through the wall, kills the director's son. It didn't work. Big shock. The monster kills everybody. Then we see Dr. Baker and Akai get there. So does the bride. Everybody's here now. We can have the conclusion of this book. Chapter 6 is Akai meets his father as the bride. Dr. Baker's like, "Hey, just so you know, I have all the overrides for you, Pliers. I can control you." And he's like, "Yeah, but don't. I'm trying to talk to my son." And
this was done for the reader, but I didn't love that the override commands were as simple as override command and exactly the thing.
I'm assuming it's because it's his voice.
Yeah.
Or her voice,
it could
rather.
Be voice authenticated? Okay. Because
that's my only thing that makes it make
code
sense.
To crack.
Right? That's the only thing that makes it make sense is if it's a voice thing.
Yeah, I think that was what it was intended. It was voice recognized.
Here we get some existential stuff happens, and it's really interesting. You see, they kind of go through why she's doing what she's doing. That if she was she's been tortured her whole life. She was in the gifted program, but they wouldn't let her
succeed.
They wouldn't let her in it. Yeah, because she's black, she wasn't allowed to succeed. All this stuff. It's horrible.
She had to take tests over and again. She tried to play by their rules, but there was no way she was going to.
There's a Donald Trump Jr. reference here. But yeah, she's never allowed to succeed. She's never allowed to get over the hill. And just when she feels like she might, they kill her son.
Mm-hmm.
They being the white establishment, and she's not wrong. But it is a little bit of Akai's like, that's true to a point, but like you're putting the bad people as the whole. And Mom, you can't do that. And she's like, no, but like I can. If I was a man, this vengeance would be seen as strong. Because I'm a woman, I'm crazy.
Yeah, like I'd be a hero.
Yeah, they'd
if,
make movies
if I was a
about it.
man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that movie like 5 times.
Liam Neeson's made a career on that.
Isn't that like pretty much most Wolverine movies?
Yeah.
That's just Wolverine as a character, unfortunately.
So that's pretty much the point. We also have a quick moment with Akai and his father, because this is the first time seeing Akai and vice versa, which is just crazy. Yes. He has to see his face. It's been Akai has to see his father's face, and he says, "Listen, I do certain things. I had to become the bride. So what I'm trying to say is like, this is my face.
Yeah.
Like it's permanent. This is who I am." And then the guy's like, "Oh, that's cool. I guess that's a way that you're kind of like me." And he's like, "I like that." And that was wholesome.
Sweet.
That was very nice. It made me happy. Akai just is so pure and happy and nice and kind, and he's got such a good heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of how Akai is written in this. I think he's just he's pure without being naive. I mean, he is naive. He's a child. Like that's what you would expect, right? But like, man, I really liked him.
Yeah. But he does understand how the world works. Yeah. It's not that he's ignorant to it. He does get that. So that amount of naivete is not present.
Mm-hmm. Yes. He's 12-year-old naive. Yeah. Just like general, like regular, like, oh, people can be good still, right? But he hasn't gotten to the point where we're all like, no, actually everyone just kind of sucks. which is cool. The monster comes in, beats up Akai, tries to beat up Baker. She's like, hey, override, we're gonna steal the monster's soul. We're gonna take him over. Beep, 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 beep. And she overrides Pliers, and Akai's like, no, you can't do that. That's wrong. Stop. He shorts her suit out, which causes the monster to completely destroy the bride. Pliers is now dead. And he rips
him in half.
Yeah, and he rips off the arm of Dr. Baker. You see on the arm it says download complete, and you don't know what that means yet.
No.
But we're gonna get there.
And then at this point, Akai and the monster have kind of a one-on-one.
Well, yeah, because the monster killed Dr. Baker.
Yes. Yes, and they have a one-on-one. And Akai is, even at this point, trying to level with the monster, be like, hey, we're the only two things, like, you're like me. Have you ever had that happen before? Like, no. That's pretty cool. Isn't that nice? Can't we, like, get along? And then Baker, this is, actually, that was before.
That's before.
That's right before
before Dad and Mom eat it.
My bad. I just want to get that development.
That's fine. No, but it's a good thing to reference,
because then after they die, you get that same kind of, they're both there, but Akai is he kills the monster.
Dr. Manhattan style, like tears him down like atom by atom.
Molecular is
that's how I felt like with the microbots with him, with the nanobots rather, with him. Just like everything that he did felt very Dr. Manhattan, like with the guns just basically melting away was really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
And it says goodbye, brother. And I'm like,
and then in his head, so Akai kills him, and then in his head, he hears his mom's voice. It turns out the download was to download her consciousness into Akai in 0.2 seconds.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. But like really rushed. But okay.
Yeah.
So she's with him and she says, hey, you haven't been ruined. You haven't been tainted. You know what's wrong in the world, but go and live a life. Go to Chicago. Go hear about the history they never tell you about a black man who founded the city, because they never told you about that.
Nope.
And she says, go right the wrongs, go do justice, go be a good person out there, go stop the ignorance from continuing. And he says, I will, Mom, I will. But first, I want to watch some kids play baseball in a little bit of Little League.
Yeah, right now I've got a good seat for Little League baseball game. All I want to do is watch these kids play.
Yeah.
And that's where the book ends.
Oh, it's so good.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Again,
fantastic.
I give it a 4 out of 5. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. Phenomenal book. The pacing was it would have benefited from 2 more issues. 1 more issue would have been super great too. Just like a little bit more. 12 issues would have been, I think. I saw someone say 12. I said, no, that's too much.
Yeah, I don't think you can double the amount of pages and have it come across as well. But I think like 1 more issue, just space some stuff out.
Yeah, exactly.
At the back half would be great. There's a little bit from the afterword, which it's not called an afterword, but I guess it's an afterword, by Victor LaValle that I would like to read verbatim.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, go ahead and Matt and I won't talk. You go ahead and read that nice and slowly and clearly, because it's worth doing. Do it some justice. It's really nice to hear this stuff. I like this.
Okay, I'm going to read basically the back 50% of it.
Go right ahead.
In her way, this is all Dr. Baker is trying to do by reanimating the body of her son Akai. She's bringing him back to life, but inside her, he never died. Of course, in real life, there's no such magic, but how I wish such a thing could be. This comic was inspired by Mary Shelley's novel, by the regular waves of black people without consequence by the police forces of the United States. Men and women who work on behalf of some of America's citizens at the cost of the lives of other American citizens. As I write this, I wonder which seems more fantastical, that a woman could bring her dead son back to life, or that our country might ever hold itself accountable for injustices it has perpetrated. Technology is improving at an astonishing rate. This conversation and actual change move at a much slower pace. For all this apparent pessimism, there's a reason Akai refuses cynicism in this comic. A reason why he won't succumb to rage. Because Akai Baker embodies the best that humanity has to offer. Despair doesn't do a damn thing, and fear only turns people into animals. But as long as we have kids like Akai in the world, there's still a chance for us. The trick then is to make sure that they actually are in the world, living, breathing, growing up, growing old.
Very poignant, closing thoughts from Victor LaValle. A man to be followed, to be admired, to be read. He does a very good job. I really like his commentary. I really like his writing style. Really like his characters. And this book was no different.
Yeah.
Like I said. John, you said it. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
It was a good book. I really liked it. I thought it was interesting. That at the end of the day, Akai was the only one with really any humanity left in the characters. It was good. I loved it.
Pretty much every character in this book has sacrificed some humanity except for Akai. The 2 agents were so bland McVanilla. I could not tell them. I could not tell you which is which by any character trait.
They were written to be nameless henchmen who get named technically, but that's just a fun reference. But they're nameless henchmen.
Yeah. The director had 0% compassion.
Yeah.
Straight up.
She's not Amanda Waller, though.
Nope.
It's not. It's different.
Correct. Josephine is relying more on machines because her body is failing her. So it's more of a physical loss of humanity in that regard. The Pliers merged with the Bride and became. It's so hard. That is something that I think could have had another 4 pages.
Yeah.
Of here's how the Bride works.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
In general, that in particular, sweet to have a little.
I would have liked that, but and I was gonna say, like you said, John, that's an industry standard. 6 issues is like a miniseries. 6 issues is like a run, right? I don't think that's Victor LaValle's fault, but it does hinder the story a little bit. But without that, if you change that, the book is great, phenomenal.
And then also the whole Victor Frankenstein is just. I feel there could have been more development there to set that up, to where it didn't feel. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It kind of felt forced,
but
right, it was just here all of a sudden. And it was like a major plot. And there was no setup for 4 issues beforehand.
Again, 1 issue of just a Victor Frankenstein flashback issue would have been super cool. Or a half issue.
Doing that and setting up the Bride.
So it is what it is. Can't change it now, but I like it. I'd give it a 4 out of 5, an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with a 9. That afterward, really drove it. and like I felt really summed up why this book is important, why this book should be read, why Akai is how he is, and how that's how we should aspire to be in this world.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it a lot. But that will do it for Victor LaValle's Destoyer. Let's talk about what we're going to read next week in the outro. Is the podcast this week, John and Matt. How we feeling coming out of that book? It was heavy.
It was heavy, but
it was heavy.
Also,
I really liked it.
Yeah, it was also really good. I really enjoyed it.
I don't mind heavy stuff sometimes, but like with the current climate, sometimes you got to read something that's a little bit lighter and fun sometimes. But
this book was great. Also didn't feel that it was particularly forced. Like I've read, like Sam Wilson Captain America, I read, and there are bits of that run where I'm just like, man, this is like a lot and it's super on the nose. But this, I felt, I don't know, or maybe it's because it wasn't natural. Superheroes. Yeah,
it was really natural.
Felt more logical, felt more natural, felt more logical.
Using the supernatural to be natural,
just like Bitterroot.
Just like Bitterroot, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, next week we are going way out there with some new stuff. We're going to read the first comic book foray for acclaimed Hugo winner N.K. Jemisin. Sorry, she is a fantastic writer who wrote a book I'm currently reading called "The City We Became," about the Avatar of New York. Really good book, by the way. And we're reading her book, which is about Green Lanterns in like the far future, a little bit of Afrofuturism. And the book is called Far Sector. It is published under the Young Animal DC line. So it's like, it's a little out there. It's supposed to be very good. A lot of colorful covers. Very looking forward to reading this book.
I'm into it.
Yeah. I think she did the art as well, if I'm not mistaken. We'll find out for sure next week. We'll have all the information next week.
We'll have that info for sure. I actually have a little tiny Marvel corner we haven't done in like a bit because I've been slacking majorly.
What'd you watch?
So this is surprising. I was talking with my buddies and he asked me if I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm like, obviously not. Why would you ask me such a ridiculous question in the year of 2020?
How dare you speak to me?
Right. And he said, well, they're going like back to the past. I'm like, okay, who cares? And he's like, no, back to like Agent Carter. I'm like, Agent Carter. You're gonna tell me like she's in this? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure like her Sousa. I'm like, okay. So I started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the final season, just jumping in.
Oh my god!
I went season 1 and 2, specifically Ghost Rider, and now here we are at the end. Just jumping all over the place.
Gotta tell you, it sounds horrible.
Gotta say, it's pretty good. The final season is pretty good, but I don't think potential spoilers. I don't think they got Haley Atwell. They did get the guy who played Detective Sousa, who was her like will they won't they love interest throughout the 2 seasons. So that was really nice and cool to see during like a Roswell episode. It was super fun, but it's actually good. I'm gonna stick with it. The really weird the plot line they're following is the same plot line. I did a Agent Carter season 3 roleplay at Gen Con, in case you're wondering how cool I am. And they, on a crazy coincidence,
no one's ever thought that.
You know, I opened up one time.
But you opened up.
So they're following in this Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. miraculously, crazy coincidence, the same plot line that roleplay was following. So I'm like, interesting. So I'm intrigued enough to keep going.
Yeah,
but I may have been had. But that's my Marvel corner this week.
Well, I'm excited for you. I hope that I want, just because I don't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agent Carter that much, doesn't mean I don't want you to be happy, you know? I want you to be very happy. I want this to all work out.
Appreciate that.
It's because I love you. In fact, I love you guys both so much that I have decided to ease our workload.
Yeah.
Not
like
only are we
that.
doing all the books digitally so we can all read them at the same time, but I've decided to bring in a fourth member to the podcast. And this is a surprise, and I know it's throwing it at you now, but I went and I found all these bits and pieces, and I created the perfect fourth podcast host.
This sounds familiar.
Weird that you say that, but I took all of the comic book knowledge of Kevin Smith, the
that's good.
lyricism and wit of Jake Paul.
I'm sorry, wit?
Why? He's popular. People. He's got a lot of subscribers on YouTube. All the vigor and the energy of all the Fortnite dances. Kids love those. The winning smile of Ryan Seacrest.
I mean, okay, why?
Where did you find these?
Okay. The tolerance of all the Star Wars fans out there, especially the ones who about Last Jedi, right?
Oh no.
Okay, that one was. And lastly, all the dank memes of Elon Musk. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I found. All right, I went to the bargain bin, and this is all they had left. I think it's gonna work, though. I really do.
All right.
You know what? I will let them introduce themselves.
Sure.
Why don't you come on in here?
Actually,
you know what? Never mind. I hear it now. And I hear it now. That's a podcast this week.
You can follow us on Twitter at Talkin' Trades. You can follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.